that movie that you just saw was totally and completely created by the mind of Eric Striffler.
And if it was a couple years later, I would have said, and don't forget to subscribe. That's literally like a YouTube outro. It's crazy.
This month marks YouTube's 20-year anniversary. But Eric Striffler has been posting videos to the internet for 21 years.
We should be listening to what you're doing here.
I'll let you know.
You're on to something.
Having such a long career means Eric has tried everything, from sketch comedy to live shows.
Look at that board!
He started making movie commentary videos before the React format was even invented, and it's still his bread and butter today.
I love Andrew Garfield's little dance.
If you had clung to this channel, you would have just capped out.
Possible.
Eric has been through the ups and downs that come with every creator journey.
That's the most important thing that's lasted me these 20 years on the internet, is I was entertaining myself first and foremost.
So what's the secret to his consistency?
It can take a long time for it to pop off, but if you pop off doing what you want to do, it's worth the wait.
I'm sitting down with Eric to break down the best, worst, and most valuable moments in a long career. Also, we're running a contest to give away a 3-month membership to Eric's Patreon. We've pinned a trivia question in the comments below, and you've got 24 hours from the time of this publish to enter. Good luck.
Eric, so good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
This is a different episode.
Sure.
We've never done anything like this before, but it's because this has never happened before. You've been on the internet for 20 years now.
20 years since I uploaded my first video before YouTube.
Before YouTube?
Yeah.
On your own website?
Yeah.
And then when YouTube popped down, you're like, oh, this is an easier way to host videos. I'll just put them on YouTube.
All it was like, oh, this will save me some time. That's it.
And so you started posting videos on YouTube basically for that.
Uh-huh.
So since the very beginning, you've been using YouTube. You've been through ebbs and flows, booms and subscribers, busts, account deletions, losing computers, losing control of accounts, regaining control of accounts, different changes in algorithms and watch time focus and not watch time, and long form content, medium content, short form content. You've been through the entire arc of the last 20 years.
All of it.
Of transformative internet media.
Yeah.
Usually we're zooming way in and we're talking about, color correction and, storytelling, and like we're really getting into the details of stuff. And what I want to do in this episode is zoom way out and talk about the arc of an internet creator, because there's like a lot of people who watch this channel who want to like learn about like, how do I make a YouTube channel?
Right.
How do I tell a story?
Right.
How do I build an audience? And you have a 2-decade-long successful like business and show that is your living, and you're crushing it 2 decades later, and you're still going. You haven't burned out. You do what you love.
I know. I was going to say, I'm like, nothing's changed, really.
This should be the roadmap for any creator who like wants to build a career on the internet, making YouTube videos, making media, telling stories. Okay, let's start with this.
Yeah.
All right.
This is before that. This is 22 years ago now, technically.
Zoom, 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 zoom.
You catch what's happening here? You see that it's a TV screen being recorded.
He has run away.
You see the reflection of like the room in the background? We're live dubbing this because I didn't know how else to edit or add sound effects or music.
So you're adding... That's amazing.
We need to find an alternate way to cross this room. There are droids everywhere.
It almost looks like it's like in another language dubbed over or something.
Because the audio was so bad. Because it was so far away.
Yeah, we don't even know what we're saying or anything, but this is... So that's, the sound of someone crawling through a vent is like us probably. I'm sure that's like tinfoil,
Right. Okay, this is so funny because I have so many videos like this of me and my buds when we were... 10 making movies and doing lightsaber and like experimenting with Final Cut Pro.
What is with Star Wars, man? Can we talk about that for a second? I think every kid probably has Star Wars videos that
every
they made,
kid
right?
was lightsaber kid.
All Star Wars.
But that's why that video went viral. We were all like, I'm lightsaber kid too.
Right.
You know?
Everybody rallied around him.
Yeah. So is this what you did? You just like made movies with your friends and you started just like from a very young age experimenting with a camera and telling stories?
Yeah. I actually recently got like 60 old home videos that my dad found digitized, and I've been going through them and organizing them just so it's easier for my family to go through. Because I noticed that I'm just like zooming in on certain things in a narrative logic kind of way where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like already thinking like, oh, I'm directing this, I'm going to edit it or do something with it. I didn't know how to, but I'm looking back through it and I'm like, yeah, I always wanted to record stuff, edit it. And boy, I mean, maybe I'm glad I didn't have YouTube at this age, probably for the best. But I would have been obviously posting all of this.
What year was this then?
So this is 2002.
So this is 3 years before YouTube came out.
Correct.
What I love about it is like you were doing this not just kind of before YouTube existed. You were doing this before The View or The Subscriber was a concept or something that anybody knew about.
Sure.
And when people say like, it's not really about the subscribers, people kind of think like that's like, yeah, it's not, but it kind of is.
Yeah,
right, subscribers. This is like proof that it's not.
right. I can point to this.
It didn't exist. Subscribers weren't a thing, and you were still making videos.
I was entertaining myself.
Yes.
That's the most important thing that's lasted me these 20 years on the internet is I was entertaining myself first and foremost.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm having fun.
You're having
That's the main thing.
Good time.
Yes. Yes.
All right, let's watch this.
This is nuts. This is silly.
That movie that you just saw was totally and completely created by the mind of Eric Striffler. That's me. Thanks for watching. Good night.
And if it was a couple years later, I would have said, and don't forget to subscribe. That's literally like a YouTube outro. It's crazy.
It really is.
And I just recorded that. That's not connected to anything. So I, in my mind, I guess, was like, I'll just put this at the end of everything I make. Like, it's just a clip on its own.
Oh, it's just like an outro clip.
It doesn't exist with anything else on the tape. Like, there's nothing else before it that I was...
so you were already thinking about, like, the system of, like, then I'll put this at the end of my video.
Yeah. That was, like, my production logo. Well, and my oldest production company at like 13 was called Eric Productions, which is super creative, obviously.
Were you posting videos on the internet or no?
This is a couple years still before I made a website to post a video on the internet.
Wow.
It's kind of bizarre.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. Okay. What's this?
Let's see. This is, August 2004. I was making a movie called The Woods. It was the very first video I ever uploaded to the internet.
I started making it and also the TV like turned on just by itself. I didn't do anything. I felt like something was there, like somebody.
This is me writing little blogs to nobody, but just for anyone that wants to check it out.
But I remember, though, what that was like in the early days of the internet when you could have a website and it really felt like you were speaking to the world.
Yeah.
Like you had no sense that there was traffic or wasn't traffic on your website. It was like communication with the world.
Yeah, I guess I don't actually know. For all I know, people did see this and there's like a weird little community out there that's like, remember that guy?
Yeah.
Remember that guy? Like, they don't even know how old I was. Remember there was that guy that had that website? Like, maybe there is. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I certainly was unaware if that was the case. Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is where everything changed, of course, when YouTube started. And like you said, the only reason I started a YouTube channel was just it's a hell of a lot easier than uploading a tiny little MOV file to my own website.
Even to make your own website, you had to be pretty technical back then.
I always loved that stuff. I mean, a lot of people, I think, in my generation learned coding and stuff from MySpace because that was like the whole customizable thing. Came to YouTube a little bit for a while as well. And you'll hear anybody that started back then, you hear like Bo Burnham say the same thing. Like anyone that started in 2005 on YouTube, it was an easy way to send a file to a friend. There was no other logic to it.
Totally.
And then what was weird was, you see the subscribers thing was there, and 37 subscribers is almost weirder than 1 million. Because who the hell is that? You know what I mean? I have no idea who found this. You know, in 2005, people started subscribing to what? It's crazy. And
yeah, because you're not thinking about like, I'm building an audience, this
not.
is my channel. You're just thinking of storage.
Of course. Through 2006 is when I started to notice like, oh, people are seeing this.
Right.
And at the end of that year is when I was like, well, maybe I should take this a little bit more seriously and make a real channel.
This is like you trying to be like, okay, now I want to start making videos and building an audience.
Yep, absolutely.
So 2007 was my first upload. And I definitely was thinking about it in terms of building an audience by then. I think 2005, I don't think anybody was thinking about it like that.
And I certainly wasn't either, yeah. It just, I mean, I fell into it. I got lucky. I happened to, YouTube came about as something that I was like, I didn't know I was looking for.
Yeah.
But it was perfect.
On November 21st, I was at the mall, and I went to the Mac store.
The Apple store.
Unfortunately, I wasn't thinking, and I logged in to comment one thing on one of the computers, and I forgot to log out, and as soon as I got home, I had a message on YouTube to check, and I just happened to look at my page, and every single video was deleted.
somebody at the mall saw, like, they probably clicked on YouTube, saw someone was logged in, and just deleted everything.
What a jerk.
What a jerk, but also, I mean, everything's okay.
Right.
Everything's fine. Whoever's out there, I forgive you, okay? Don't lose sleep over it anymore. I absolve you.
How many subscribers did you have? You had...
Hard to say. I think by the end of 2007, I had 1,000 subscribers.
Okay.
So this is around then.
Pre-24,000 subs.
Pre-analytics, it looks like, realistically. I guess analytics started around 2009, 2010. I think all of my analytics, like, have just this thing of, like, we have nothing for a while.
Yeah.
This is in 2008. At the beginning of 2008, I started a second channel. This was my place to just talk to the camera, talk about movies, talk about TV shows that I was watching, stuff like that, yeah. But what's weird is this channel took off much more than the first channel. Way more, like, views and subscribers.
Why?
I don't know,
What were
but
you
it drove
doing?
me crazy.
What were you doing on this channel?
I guess people were interested in just someone talking about movies, reviewing movies.
Right.
I mean, it was like a brand new concept. My very first video on this channel, I think, was about the movie Cloverfield.
This is my spoiler review of Cloverfield, the new monster movie from J.J. Abrams.
There was so many, like, Easter eggs in that, like little hidden things. And so people came out of the movie theater and were like, that was crazy. I got to find more about this.
And they
found the
searched
video.
Cloverfield and they found you talking and...
And it took off way more than what I was more passionate about, which was weird. you
So
know?
did you start this channel thinking this is going to be dedicated to talking about movies?
Yeah,
is
for
that
sure.
the strategy?
For sure. I thought of
Okay.
it as, like, more of a me channel than a... Like, the other stuff was professional.
Yeah.
This was, like, sort of a little bit more laid back.
Okay.
That was the logic at the time, I think. Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe that's why it took off, because it was more real.
I guess. I mean, it's interesting because it's not that my other channel was doing fine, but I was definitely always, like, kind of annoyed. I would constantly tell people, like, hey, this is not my main channel, by the way. So make
Right.
sure you go subscribe to my main channel, which, of course, at the time, I'm like, you want to subscribe to all my stuff. Now, looking back, I'm like, no, it's completely different stuff.
So one thing I say on the show way too much, but I'll say it again, is you can't choose what you're famous for.
Yeah.
And, like, sometimes you make something on a whim and people love it. And the thing that you spend all your time and energy on, people don't like it.
Well, and, you know, it's funny because at the time, I didn't realize, you know, it's all easy to see now. You know, I'm a 33-year-old guy. I'm thinking of a teenager here, right, who doesn't
Right.
know what the hell's going on. And at the time, I was like, oh, I want to be a filmmaker. I want to do comedy sketches as well, but, like, I make videos, I make short films. That's what I do. And looking back, I think it's because at the time that was just the most accessible thing. Growing up, why would I ever think, like, oh, I want to talk to people on the internet that didn't exist, right?
Right.
So that wasn't even there like it is for young people now.
Right.
I was thinking, well, the only medium that makes sense is comedy sketches, short films, and then eventually making feature films on the big screen. As time went on, clearly what I've realized about myself is that I just wanted to entertain people. And whatever format that is, I've gotten to do it. And I've realized, like, I've completely scratched that itch. I'm not really seeking out making films necessarily anymore.
And
So-
you got that clarity over time. You
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
have
yeah.
that. Yeah.
This makes sense, though. Like you said, you can't pick what you're famous for, but, like, technically, I didn't know at the time this is what I wanted. I was entertaining people. I was making people laugh. I was
Yes.
talking to people about things that I loved, and that is what I wanted.
Okay, so
This is that channel, yeah.
this
Oh, look
is
at that. The
channel.
Word Vlogs is in there. This
Right.
channel was really kind of taken off. Twilight Movie Review, almost 200,000
Oh
views.
my God, that was a lot back then.
So that became my bread and butter for a little bit.
Oh, and there's more Twilight. which
Clearly I saw that
clearly
Twilight
you
took
learned
off.
and yeah.
I've seen it. When we do, like, live shows, people will say, like, I've been watching you since your Twilight coverage or your Saw coverage. I always did the Saw movies back then, too.
Wow.
And so, yes, so it makes sense that those would have a lot of views. People latched onto that stuff.
Were you thinking strategically about, like, YouTube is a search engine, people are searching for Twilight, and so I'm going to get some of that traffic,
Yeah.
and you were thinking
At
about
this point,
that.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can literally see it there, like you pointed out. Yeah, I immediately uploaded another Twilight video.
Right.
2007 was the time where I realized people could be watching. 2008 was the time where I realized people could be finding, searching, you
yes,
know.
yes.
And so I was definitely taking advantage. Something crazy happens in the news, I was definitely making a little video about it. And this was the time of, like, Perez Hilton, What the Buck, you know.
Right.
This was that
Oh
time.
my God, yeah,
Yeah,
Michael
yeah.
Buckley.
This was that time. So
Right.
it makes sense. 2008, 2009 was very much that.
Right.
Realizing money was starting to come in too.
Right.
For views.
Right.
2007 was when the partner program started, and I was in, like, the second wave of that. And so it's also, what are we gonna, this is gonna have ads on it. Like, how are we gonna get views on this?
Yeah.
Of course, that was the thought process.
Now wait, you're in high school at this point, right?
Yeah. I'd be 17.
Okay, so you're doing this, like, after school and on weekends.
After school, before. I'm seeing a lot of like dark backgrounds. This could be before school.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And also like at school, my friends and I were also making videos like during school.
Okay, so what is this now?
So this is when pretty much it launched in 2010, which is what Eric with no K became. Eric with no K was where I was talking about movies, reviewing them, talking about movie news. The thing is, I had this vision of wanting to bring in more friends onto the channel. Because I know movies, and I watch TV and stuff, I know that, but I didn't really play video games, but I was like, well, we could cover video games, right? So I brought in a friend to cover video games. I had a buddy come in to cover music, stuff like that.
Hello, I'm Eric.
I'm Jake. I'm Mike.
And welcome to Pretty Much It.
I naturally ended most of my videos with like, you know, please like, subscribe, and that's pretty much it. So I was like, well, that's the name of the channel. Pretty much it.
Oh, cool. For many years, you were just kind of humming along. Like it wasn't hockey sticking.
Correct. What's crazy though is Eric with no K was going really well. And I started the new channel and dropped that channel.
You stopped uploading on it.
Since then, I've uploaded maybe a dozen videos, and all of them are just saying, check out Pretty Much It. I didn't continue them side by side. I just completely switched. At the time, you couldn't change your channel name. If you could have, I wouldn't have done it. Of course, I wouldn't have switched channels, yeah. It goes to show, I guess, that I was really thinking more about the brand identity. I mean, that's a horrible, horrible mistake that I made, technically, just leaving a channel that was really growing well.
I would actually say it's not a horrible mistake. What you did was fearless and bold.
I'm saying a horrible mistake in terms of YouTube business mindset. In terms of my own, the way that I am, I'm glad I did it.
I still disagree with you.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Here's why. Because like, what you did is like, in business is often called like the innovator's dilemma, where like you have a thing and it works.
Sure.
And the tendency when you have a thing that works is to hold onto that for dear life.
Yes.
And very few people hit that moment of innovator's dilemma and are like, you know what? Fuck it. I think there's something else that could be even better and stronger. That if you had clung to this channel, maybe you would have just capped out here.
Possible. That's true.
But instead, you said, no, I have this vision for this network, and I want to get my friends in here, and I think that's going to be better, and I believe in that, and so I'm willing to leave the past behind and march into the future. The fact that you did that, I think, shows that you're like fearless, bold, focused on the future, and like willing to like take risks and like take leaps of faith.
For me, on a personal level, I'm certainly glad I did that.
Yes.
It was absolutely more fun having my friends on the channel.
Right.
So it worked out. It was also a really fun community back then. My buddy Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Johns, Schmoes No, like there was just a bunch of guys in this space doing it, and all of them still doing it, but now, of course, you know, a million more people doing it.
Right.
And in 2012, we launched what I didn't know at the time was a podcast.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't really know what that was.
Yes.
But it was just a weekly show that essentially we realized over time, like, wait, this is a podcast.
Yeah.
Why aren't we uploading this as a podcast?
Right.
And so we did that for years. We did like 200 episodes of that, a weekly podcast talking about the latest movie news, gaming news. 2013 is when Patreon started. And we joined Patreon that year, and we did, like, the sort of logic was, oh yeah, it'd be cool to do like what's a bonus thing that we could be doing, and it was commentary tracks.
That was your bonus thing for Patreon?
Actually, before Patreon, we were selling them for like a couple of bucks. I was like, what's something that we can be doing because we really need to be, we should be monetizing a little bit better here, you know?
Yeah.
That's not really my field, is the money stuff. Like the money came to me because I was just on YouTube, right?
Right.
But now that I'm getting, it's a few years in and I should be a little bit smarter. I've got guys to pay. It's different now.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need to make sure that this is actually making some money. It clearly, wasn't really growing here.
Right.
And so we started doing it. We were just selling them on whatever little website that you could sell audio files on. And then Patreon came along, and I was similar to YouTube. I was like, well, that seems easier.
You joined YouTube in 2005.
Yeah, year one
the
for
year
both
it came
of
out.
these. Yes.
And you joined Patreon in 2013.
Yeah.
Which is the year Patreon came out.
I'm not telling anybody the next one I join. I'm keeping it quiet.
Like, we should be listening to what you're doing here.
I'll let you know.
You're
what the
onto
next thing
something.
Okay, so this is, for some reason I was really into the idea of marketing the YouTube channels in the real world, even though it's pretty useless, because nobody's really writing that down or anything.
Right.
It only works on your computer.
Yeah.
We advertised in the mall.
Did you pay for that?
Oh, yeah. With the YouTube money. There's a lot of money coming in. Are you kidding me? I was like, yeah, let's put it back into the business, quote unquote, right? I want to apologize to my friends for putting them up in the mall like this. My buddy, I told him to put his phone in his hand.
Wow.
That happened. We did the radio. We did movie theaters. I popped up in a chain of movie theaters on Long Island saying, hey, check out my YouTube channel, and it showed clips from my YouTube channel. Alternative Press magazine, I advertised in that because I was like, well, this is the kind of music I listen to, so maybe people will resonate with that.
Did it work?
I guess so. There were people at the time that were like, I saw you in the magazine, I saw you at the mall, but probably not a good
Use of
ROI. Yeah.
So is this the org structure?
Yeah, so 2015 is when I brought in AJ. We work together very well because I am, as I've maybe made clear, not as much of a business-minded guy. Like I kind of was, although maybe some things worked out, I was doing things just because of like what I wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
Stopping Eric with no K. Maybe it worked out, but at the time, definitely, I don't think if I had AJ, we would have done that probably. But we work well together because we bounce off each other. He is definitely more business-minded. He's a creative guy as well, but he's more business-minded. He handles, okay, we wouldn't have spent the money on those ads, right?
Fair enough.
There you go. That's the logic of, I definitely was like struggling to pay everybody that month when we did the ad in the mall, right?
Yeah.
So he would have been like, maybe that's not worth it.
Right.
And so that's a huge reason why we've lasted as long as we have, because he handles the money, the legal stuff, the paperwork, the boring stuff, as I call it, but super important boring stuff.
Right.
And that leaves me to get to do all the fun stuff, the recording, editing the videos, stuff like that.
I have been working on the internet for a decade. A decade.
It's a decade ago.
Insane. But if you ask anyone who's been working on the internet for a fraction of that time, they will tell you, you need to post content consistently, and you need to engage your audience to remain relevant so they don't forget about you, and you need to network with other content creators on social media, and I can't do that. I am not good at the internet. I don't know what to tweet and when to get more followers. I don't know how to title and tag my videos so that more people click on them, and it's not for lack of trying. Believe me, I have tried. But I realized something recently, and it took me a long time to figure this out. I do not want to be good at the internet. I did not grow up dreaming about SEO. I grew up dreaming about making cool shit.
That was when we were in like that stagnant place, and I was like, I got lucky those early years. Yeah, I was just one of few people on the internet, and people were finding my videos. After that stagnant time period, I'm like, then it wasn't something that I was doing so much as I just was like really lucky and running with it, right?
Right.
And so this is a time when I was sort of saying like, I'm having fun doing this. I'm trying to promote my stuff. I was trying to promote a new show that we had started called Pity Applause, which was a live comedy show in New York that we were recording and putting on the internet.
Don't you guys just do improv comedy?
We try, okay? Now we have to deal with you.
Hey!
We had a full season come out, and I was like, nobody's going to see this because I don't know how to promote it, but I want you to know that all that matters to me is that I'm making something cool. You know what I mean? And like, please come and check it out. I was basically pleading with people, like, it might not be something that'll be like recommended to you, but please come and check it out.
Yeah.
And what I think is kind of funny is that I've seen this same exact video this year, as people are like, I'm the algorithm, man. I'm slave to the algorithm. And I'm like, it's not new. This is 10 years ago.
Exactly.
This video is from 10 years ago, and it's the exact same thing that people are dealing with today.
So if you could tell somebody who's going through that for the first time right now, as a young creator, they're 22, they're feeling the burn of that cycle.
Sure.
What would you tell them?
The main thing I would say is that you have to decide what you want. Do you want to have a stable career doing this, or do you want to have fame, millions and millions of views and subscribers? Because you can have one of those for a time. I don't think it's forever. I certainly have been able to do 20 years of success without it being millions and millions of subscribers. I don't think I'll ever hit 1 million subscribers, and that's okay. I think that's fine. If we just continue at this exact level for the rest of our lives, we made it.
Yeah.
We are the luckiest people in the world.
I think that's such a important lesson that's so hard to internalize.
Well, and the websites don't let you do that.
They don't.
No. So
They don't.
They don't let you do that. YouTube,
so how
TikTok.
did you do it despite the websites not letting you do it? How were you able to do that?
Well, honestly, a big part of it is Patreon and selling our commentary tracks and things that are off of the platforms themselves, like off of YouTube and stuff. We've really been able to make a business of it through that. Honestly, it's websites that don't decide who gets to see what you post. YouTube does that. TikTok. I've never been on TikTok. Like, I've never used it, but that is, I'm sure, the same thing. It seems like, right? You don't know if everyone's going to see what you posted. They're curating it, whatever.
Right.
We've definitely leaned more into websites, and we have like a mailing list that we've had for years, an email list that is
direct connection.
Yeah, direct connection. I mean, like that's for me the way to go. But with that though, it's kind of hidden in a way. So if you want to be able to show off like big numbers and stuff, that's not the way to go. But it's what do you want?
Yep.
What do you really want? That's the thing.
There's a good lesson for creators here because, like 2010, for a decade basically until 2019, you're not growing as quickly as you were about to grow. Like you were about to like inflect at this point, but you were going a decade before that.
Keep in mind what I was used to right before that. That year or two of nonstop growth.
Right.
So this was like a huge change.
Yeah.
But what's really good about it is, and I really look back on this as huge for me as a person, is that I understood how fickle it all is.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it really was like I'm not as I thought I was like popping off here. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not really good for a teenager. Right?
Yeah.
Like again, at the time I was like, this is awesome.
Right.
Now as a grown man, I look back and I'm like, I am genuinely so lucky and so glad that I was able to curb that.
Right.
This forced me to be like, oh, this could go away any second. I am not the shit.
Like a dose of humility.
Correct.
What's this?
So in 2017, I started living in a van.
I live in a van that I'm traveling around in, currently in sunny Los Angeles, and you can kind of follow along with that on my Instagram. It's different than what you're going to find here on Pretty Much It, but it's cool.
So you don't have an apartment?
No.
This is your house?
Since 2017, yeah. But to be clear, I want to make sure I don't want to make it sound like I'm like roughing it. I'll visit friends, I'll visit family and stuff. And like, yeah, I love staying in the van is the most comfortable sleep, but I'll certainly take a friend up on a guest bed and stuff, you know, when I visit. And this is all my earthly belongings. I have nothing anywhere else.
Was van life a thing back then?
No, that's another thing that I just started doing.
What the hell? You're like literally year one or year like -2 for every trend.
But I'll tell you what, this has made it a lot easier to get around and record with my friends.
Right.
And I also record in the van sometimes just sitting in the front seat in like a Walmart parking lot. Yeah.
Right here, something changed.
Yeah.
First of all, what was it? And second of all, did you know that this was going to be the thing that sort of created this hockey stick of growth for you guys?
No, not at all. Over the year of 2017, my buddies and I moved into the city. My buddies were on Long Island. I moved into New York City. And they would have to travel to keep doing our weekly show, our podcast. And it started to just become a lot. And so we were like, you know what? Let's wrap this up. Let's call this quits. The commentary tracks, we were still doing them for a little bit. But then those guys, my buddies Jake and Mike, they kind of phased out just because it was getting to be a lot. And again, there was no growth. There was nothing there. So it started to become a little bit like, you know, this is a lot. And so, but I wanted to keep doing it. So I brought in a couple of other friends, like my buddy Miles, who's still on it, my sister Jillian, a couple other people that have been on it since then. And we kept doing commentary tracks. I brought them in like, I want to keep doing this. And that's when the format became me and a guest, really me and a guest.
Yeah.
And in 2018, I woke up and all of a sudden we had just a ton of views and subscribers out of nowhere. And I was like, what happened? One of our videos just took off. Completely random. Just got picked up by the algorithm and, you know, run away.
Are those clones?
Yeah.
Oh, they're all going to combine into one person, right? That was a really lame way to do it.
The main thing was I hid everything from before that to make it look like it was a brand new channel.
No way.
Yeah, so no offense to Jake and Mike. I love you guys. They're back on it now. But I hid it, and I've slowly been like re-releasing the old stuff, and people are like, where was this? So that was the big move that I made that I think really helped that.
What an interesting... I've never heard of that before.
I don't know what compelled me. I'm glad I did it. It worked. On the flip side, of course, now it's weird when I say like, oh yeah, celebrating 20 years this year, and people are like, bro, you're like, what? You're like 8 years old. What are you talking about?
Because they think you started here.
Correct. And it's like, well, it worked too well. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, let's move on. Do you want to talk through this?
I've been doing this since I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
When we had that boom in subscribers, we were used to being in a bubble of people that knew our sense of humor, were also immature, and having a much bigger audience come in and be like, well, you guys are funny, but you can't say that.
Right.
And I'm like, at first, I'm sure I was like, fuck you, you know, I can say whatever I want. It's the internet. I'm untouchable.
Right.
This is a good example because it's someone that was personally offended
Yeah.
by some stupid joke I made.
Hi, Eric. I'm on the spectrum, and you wouldn't know unless you knew what behaviors to look out for, or if I told you. That was a really fucking stupid ableist thing to say, and you looked like a clueless idiot. From a now former fan.
Yeah, they're not wrong. I looked like a clueless idiot. I remember what the joke was. This was someone that specifically was impacted by it, and I appreciate that they said something.
Yeah.
I don't want to punch down on people.
Right.
I think if you're funny, you don't have to. You know what I mean? Like you can make jokes that don't make people feel bad, right? As opposed to just being like, well, then you don't like our stuff, go away.
And there's something that happens to here if you read this exchange. Like, you open up about it, you're like, wow, yeah, I don't feel good about that. That was a bad joke. I want to grow and learn. I'm a normal person.
Yeah.
Just like everybody wants to grow and learn. And then it seems like they really softened in response to that. And there was like kind of a nice moment on the internet, which is pretty rare.
I hope they're still around. Maybe they'll see this and please say hello if you're still around. Like, use anyone out there that's watching this that like might go the way of like doubling down and being like, oh, anti-PC can't be funny anymore. Yes, you can. You can be funny for this person too.
Okay, let's move on. Do you do like live commentary tracks?
We do.
Basically?
Yeah. In 2019, we did our first live show at South by Southwest. And it was really, really fun. Like proof of concept, worked well. Went on a U.S. tour that year. Just this year, did another U.S. tour.
Please just listen to me. They're married? Who gives a shit?
Getting the immediate reaction of people laughing. I mean,
So
it's
fun.
like, what a boost. You know,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. Yeah.
How many people are showing up at these shows?
A couple hundred. It's nothing massive. Like, but
That's
like,
amazing.
Yeah, to me, that's massive. But
It's like a real community and a bunch of movie lovers.
And I got to tell you, I recognize people from 10 plus years ago, 15 plus years ago. There's username. Like sometimes people will be like, hey, my name's John. And I'm like, John. And they're like, yeah, XO555. And I'm like, oh, dude, yeah, you've been around for 20 years. I know you.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's end on the Off-Broadway show.
Sure, this is the most recent thing. When I was growing up, the main outlet in my mind was like, yeah, making videos, filmmaking, right? Because all I had was a camera. What am I supposed to start a Broadway production or whatever as a kid? So I thought that the only thing I could really do was make videos and all that. It turned out over time I've learned what I really wanted at the core was entertaining people, making people laugh being the big thing, but making people feel something. And the biggest thing we did recently was, we co-produced my company. It's an off-Broadway show, The Life and Slimes of Mark Summers. Mark Summers, the host of Double Dare. I'm sure you remember Double Dare.
Of course.
Long story short, amazing life story. It turned out, was hiding a crippling OCD and was on the messiest game show on television. And, I don't want to spoil the story because I hope that it, lives again. It was an off-Broadway show. He was the star. He told his story. It was written by Alex Brightman, who you might know as Beetlejuice on Broadway. He was in School of Rock. He's a genius. The whole thing was brilliant. And AJ brought it to me, and he was like, hey, are we interested in doing this? And I was like, absolutely. I signed off on it, and then he did all the boring stuff to make it happen. But so it was moving along. They brought us in. We were a part of it, and it was one of the coolest things. And I want to do a lot more of that, for sure.
So you've made a decade reflection. Now you have a 2-decade reflection.
Right. Actually, you're right. That's true. Yeah.
What's the next decade for you?
I got to tell you, hopefully the exact same thing. Genuinely. If we can just continue doing what we're doing, no complaints. No complaints. More live shows, more Broadway productions, who knows, to produce something like that. But other than that, I mean, I'd be happy doing this in 10 years and saying that nothing's changed. I'd actually be kind of cool with that.
Eric, thank you for coming on. That's an amazing place to end.
Yeah.
And what an awesome reflect. Thank you for prepping all this and sharing all these insights.
Yeah.
And just so cool to hear you talk through 2 decades on the web.
I am very happy to have something to point to now. Hey, I've been doing this for 20 years and I did talk about it. So thank you very much for having me on to talk about it.
Hell yeah.
It's been awesome.